What's up, Shinners? It's Matty P.
And it's Aaron Good.
And of course, we're back with another episode of the Shindig podcast.
This time we are doing Super Rider.
Yes, travelling across the pond over to the big US of A to find out more about who is Super Rider TV.
Who is Aaron Lutze, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got different spellings, so it's going to be a feisty one.
Yes.
That's all I want to
Aaron
say.
and Aaron.
Aaron and Aaron.
So, yeah, without further ado, really, we'll just get into the conversation. I'm quite interested to find out a bit more. I'm going in very blind here. So,
me too.
Some of the listeners might know more than me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely something we weren't too knowledgeable of at this stage.
It's going to be educational.
It's going to be educational for the both of us. And we can see what it's about.
We like to make new friends around the world. So, of course, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Yes, what's up, Shinners? We are back.
Back with the podcast with Super Rider.
Super Rider. Mr. Aaron, how do we pronounce your second name, Aaron?
Lutze. Last name is Lutze.
Oh, I got it wrong in the intro. Apologise.
I'll let it slide this once.
Yeah, Aaron Lutze. Hey, Aaron. How are you doing today?
Great. Yeah, I'm really fired up to talk to you guys. I've listened to, I think, every single one of your podcasts. And
wow.
Yeah. So stoked to be here with you.
Okay, so there is someone that listens to
people do actually listen to it. That's crazy.
Going like, is this just for us? Oh, that's awesome to hear, man. So you have a pretty good idea of like what we get up to and what we like to talk about, and this is a chance for you to. Yeah,
we'll just jump straight into you. Like, where did it all start for you? Like when and where and
riding
how?
Specifically. We're talking about Aaron. We're going to talk about Aaron and then into Super Rider.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I started riding trials in kind of a weird way. I got into mountain biking with my friends in high school, and I was really tiny. I was 5'2", so I was the shortest kid in class, and I couldn't keep up with my friends that were really good at mountain biking because they were big and strong.
I think Aaron can relate.
Yeah, I relate to that.
And I was on a family road trip out to the West Coast, and we stopped in this random campground, and I was riding my mountain bike around the campground, and this German kid came up to me and said, "Hey, can I see your bike for a second?" And he borrowed it, and he hopped up and over a picnic table. I was like, teach me how to do any of that. That'd be amazing. And the road trip with my family lasted about 2 weeks. So by the time I got home to my friends, I had already gotten a head start on learning trials, and they never got a chance to really catch me. So that was my competitive advantage. I wasn't big enough to keep up with them on the trail, but they couldn't ride over picnic tables. And that kind of started it off. I grew up in a place, Wisconsin, where there's not really a lot of other trials riders at the time. Really, all the U.S. is so spread out that it was hard to meet other riders. So most of my riding was just off by myself, watching Hans Ray and Ott P videos, trying to figure stuff out.
You would have watched the podcast as well. So
with those guys,
you've seen those.
Yeah.
And that kind of triggered your inspiration of, oh, wait, you can do different things, different tricks on a mountain bike. So were you doing trials on a mountain bike?
Yeah, I started on a GT Avalanche, and I rode that basically until it broke. And then I got a GT Team Trials, and then I started competing in 1997 at the Norba event, which is kind of like the U.S. national series.
God. So,
at that event, met everybody and got sucked into the whole trial scene in the U.S.
Just some context there. So 97, I was 5 years old.
I wasn't even born then.
Aaron wasn't even born.
That's amazing.
It is just like, wait, am I that old? Wait, what? Hold on. So you kind of, especially it must have been, it sounds like a long time to be following the trial sport, and yet you're still, from being so distant from where it kind of originated from. You know what I mean? Over there. What keeps you motivated to carry on doing this trials then? And, what's the scene like around you? How does that influence you?
Yeah, there's a pretty small scene in the U.S. We just had that event in Bentonville where everybody kind of came together, which was a huge moment for the U.S. scene. And Kenny Belay had so much to do with just pulling that together. Mike Friedel helped him put on the contest. It was so neat to finally meet everybody in person. What's funny is when I started riding trials in like 96, 97, the way that we communicated and connected as a community was this mountain bike trials mailing list. So this is before you could download a TRA clip off the internet. You couldn't get video at this point. you would email this address. It was like mtbtrials@topica.com. And when you emailed, it would go out to everyone else that had signed up for this mailing list. And you would have threads of emails talking about this competition or learning this trick or watching this
spot,
VHS,
that spot,
you know,
where the rides are going to be. Yeah, all that kind of thing, I guess. Yeah.
and at that stage, it then became trying to get meetups to happen. And it was almost like, you know, how many people off the mailing list had you met? You know, you'd go to a contest, you'd go to rides, and we just started kind of growing that way. The Midwest scene kind of came together, and we all started riding together and traveling, and that really kind of kicked things off. From there, I got into doing demos. Jeff Lenoski was a huge influence and actually helped me out a ton when it came to doing demos and getting involved in stuff like that. And then, you know, video production came along. I was in college, and my roommate was watching what I was doing on campus. Like, you know, I could go out with you with a video camera, and I've got editing software on my computer. We could maybe like make like some kind of video.
Yeah, this sounds like a Danny Mac story. Same thing, you know, his housemate and that. Yeah, go on.
So we just went out on campus, we put some stuff together, and then I went to a contest and brought his camera and filmed some of the other riders. And then it kind of turned into this thing. I made a series called Match Video Zine, and the first 3 videos that we made were on VHS. And then we moved to DVD, but we were riding with all the best riders, and we were going on road trips, and we were going to contests. And so we would just take all that time to film as much as we possibly could and put out content on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I got my foot in the door.
This is like the modern, it's like the modern version. Just that the Shindig's like the modern version of just doing that, really, isn't it? Like,
apart from the process for them was like 9 steps more, you know.
Yeah. we just press record.
It's like I've never. It's a funny thing when they've said like I've never physically held a Shindig video in my hand.
Yeah, Shindig DVD.
Right, like that's just you know, and I like. So that kind of concept of everything being so legitimate and like so much harder
and raw,
and raw. Yeah, it is. It's that kind of level of it. So that kind of did that kind of kickstart your love for the combination of riding and filming. So that sounds like it's always been a part of your kind of hobby. There, the combination of two.
Absolutely. In fact, if I'm really honest about it, I don't ever think that any of this has ever been about my riding specifically. It's been about helping the community grow or helping other riders get going. And that kind of played into the future. So by the time we got to like number 6 or number 7 of the videos, I was barely in the actual video itself. I was just finding new riders to film and trying to help those riders get sponsored and get their careers off and running. And it was enough for me to just be the guy kind of behind the scenes.
Right.
And as we kind of go through the rest of the story, that's exactly where I kind of fit in. I'm the guy behind the scenes kind of putting stuff together.
You've been around those great riders. You've been influenced, obviously had quite a few years of experience.
Yeah.
I mean, longer than we've been alive.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So you're kind of like, hey, I have all of this knowledge. Like, I need to tell other riders and tell the other base. It's the same with what I love is that you're really reaching out to mountain bike riders, right? And I see that because really the basics of mountain bike is trials.
Yeah,
like the basics.
Yeah. But it works both ways. If you're a really good trials rider, you could end up being a really good mountain biker too. Like, all those skills are so like compatible. You know, you could end up being really good mountain biking as well.
Yeah,
as a trials rider. So yeah,
if you think about maybe the most successful, and of course there are a lot of different ways to judge success, right? But the most successful trials riders in my eyes are probably Hans Ray, Martin Ashton, Jeff Lenoski, right? And they've always done kind of the hybrid of the two. They're riding mountain bikes, but showing how you can put the two together in the right way 100%. And kind of getting people to start think about, oh, I guess I could do that on this bike. I guess I could try this on that bike. And it's the way that we've sort of grown the sport in the most effective way, in my mind, is being able to show mountain bikers that if you learn 2 or 3 of these things, it's a hack to get better at riding bikes in every single way. It's just bike handling at the highest level.
I love that term. It is like trials is a little hack for biking.
Yeah.
Because like if you learn the basics of control on that, like I feel like sometimes I get on a BMX and I'll do a trick a BMXer couldn't do, but they're like, well, I can't do that. It's like, well, I can't do what you're doing either, but you're relaying what you're learning and how that's doing. And it looks like if the listeners, if you haven't seen yet, there's a whole playlist of Aaron who's made like literally lessons.
Yeah, lessons on how to do everything.
And we never had lessons. We just had to freaking like somehow figure it out.
And fall off a lot.
you know, and full. Yeah, exactly. So, well, moving into like progressing then now, when did sort of the whole Super Rider take shape from that?
Well, I think there's one more gap to fill in
Yeah, go on.
here.
Okay.
So after college and after, all the video stuff kind of came to essentially a close, I ended up getting a job with RedBull. Actually, there's a small gap in there too where we started the UCI live stream, like the downhill stuff with Rob Warner and all that stuff.
Okay, cool.
We started that at a company called Freecaster. So I was traveling and making videos for Match Videozine and for other companies. This is before YouTube existed. We'd make a video and put it on their website of like their team riders and stuff, because I got really into the free ride side of things. I met the guy who started Freecaster, who was actually the original athlete marketing director of RedBull. And he wanted he was doing live events. So he would do a live stream of RedBull District Ride, and that's where we met. And he wanted to start doing live streams for the UCI downhill series. And so we built that from scratch. And then eventually it ended up going to RedBull, but we laid the foundation. Like I started Rob Warner's Twitter account in a sushi bar in Australia. Like we traveled all over the place, like putting all this content together and laying the foundation. So again, going back to like being the guy behind the scene.
Yeah, exactly. They built it, they came and they were like, cool, we'll have that. And we're going to use that.
Yeah, thanks for that very much. Thanks for putting in all the effort.
Well, if no one's actually said it to you then, Aaron, thank you.
Yeah.
It's like create the foundation, been like, well, this is what live coverage should be at a bike event. And now even the UCI do that for trials.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. It gives you guys a chance in the States and all over the world to watch it live on YouTube. And I know that involves a lot of funding, a lot of work. I'd like to think maybe you had influenced all that from years ago, Aaron.
I think a lot of it is just being the guy to raise your hand. I was already making videos. I was already making free ride videos, and like, yeah, why not? Let's go do that. If you're there and, just like you guys, like, hey, let's make a podcast for trials. And now here we are.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Super niche. Like, we just have our own little big family, and there's so much discussion here that people wouldn't understand in different countries. We say names and we say silly
moves that people just don't understand, or we'll go outside and we'll look at a wall and be like, yeah, that's a nice wall, I want to do stuff on that wall, and people will be like, what are you talking about?
I mean, that kind of, speaking of walls and like riding on things, for those of listening who can't see, actually, Aaron's got a pretty epic surrounding by him, which looks like a warehouse with, like, it reminds me of Danny McCaskill's Imagine It.
Yeah,
It does.
Yeah, big time.
Well, tell us a little about where you are and what this is, Aaron.
So this is the Shred Spot. This is a warehouse that I got my hands on and built a bunch of trials obstacles inside of it. The purpose of it was to be able to do trials tutorials and to help people get into riding. I think both of us are collectively all guides for people that are coming into the sport, want to get deeper into the sport, whether it's learning to hop on your back wheel or getting exposed to a new rider that maybe you haven't heard about. Going back to your point about, saying all these names that people don't know or talking about a trick that people don't, like, somebody has to help teach all that stuff. And that's what we're collectively all here for, whether it's, on the podcast or in a video tutorial to learn how to hop on your back wheel or to side hop or whatever. So when I first started my channel, I was just filming outside, and I live in Portland, Oregon, where it rains a ton, and I had a full-time job at RedBull. And so I was kind of dodging both work and rain to try to like get enough time to record a video and all this stuff.
Yeah, I know
This sounds like London.
I know that feeling, mate. Like being from Scotland as well, it's like so hard to try and find time to ride. It's like, oh, there's a bit of blue sky over there. We'll follow the blue sky and we'll go and ride that wall over there.
That's exactly it.
So no risk with the warehouse then, yeah?
No risk. It's actually like makes me kind of happy when it rains outside, because I'm inside and I'm still riding, and it's just like this great feeling.
Yeah.
But filming up, like, now it feels better to be riding in here in the rain. That concept works. Well, so you actually said that you mentioned you've traveled quite a bit. Have you ever come to ride in the UK before?
I've never ridden in the UK, but it's obviously on the list. I mean, you guys have everything. I'm so jealous watching all the videos.
We have a great collection of people, good and bad. That's what makes it great. We're all different characters and that. And that's the thing. I feel like we're known for the scene, maybe not so much for our group of level, we've only got singular riders whose level is just
up like next level,
next level, I'm sure.
And then we have the group of just everyone who rides together, does all the same kind of moves, but just like eggs people on to kind of improve themselves and each other. You know?
It was because we obviously use a term here called TGS, right? Tap gap side up. Was that something that was ever used in America too, or?
I mean, I think a lot of American trials riders are just kind of plugged into what you guys are doing over there. So of course we know what that is.
Right.
But,
Wow. That's cool.
There's not that many. We just don't have group rides like you guys do. I was texting with Sean Goddard earlier today. He's like, I just need like 10 more riders to be able to have 100 riders at the contest. And I was like, I would take just 10 riders. This would be amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so true. And it's the same for us here. It might look like they're like, wow, the scene's so good over there. But it's like, we still really have to try. And everyone really does know everyone. And I feel like maybe in the States that's the same, even though they're from a different state, you know who each other are. And
I mean, it's really small. So we have a fair idea kind of who everybody is. But I think a lot of it is just trying to come together as this community. You know, one of the things that I built was a Discord channel where everybody can kind of come in and talk about trials and talk about technique and start putting stuff together. And I think that's like one of the biggest things that we need to do is kind of pull everybody together and make it feel like a more cohesive scene. Trials is such an individual sport where you're off by yourself, trying to learn this technique, trying to have like this thing.
Even more centralized plays. Did you ever use Trials Forum? I mean, that was been.
I've been on it a handful of times, but
so it's an interesting place.
That's what I would have like, especially for someone with the history of trials. But that was the centralized place for discussions, for videos,
selling parts,
for just
arguing,
chat. For chat. I mean, it was like I was using that before Facebook. So for me, social media was a trials forum on bikes. That was my social media. And I think that's what helped our community grow, in a sense that someone kind of ran that. But anywhere else in Europe that you've ridden then, or you visited the UK but not ridden? Is there any in Europe you've been and ridden before?
Yeah, I actually spent a fair bit of time in the Czech Republic. Became friends with Jaromír Spezný, the spaceman, and Peter Kraus, and that was like my generation of riders there. Right, Damian obviously is a good friend, so I got really into the free ride side of things toward the end of my pre-RedBull career. And so I was over in Europe at a lot of contests. I actually met, I guess maybe I have ridden in the UK. I met Danny back in 2007, I want to say, and introduced him to his now agent because we were over there doing a contest called the Qashqai World Series or something like that. It was like
that's what I saw you posted. I was like, that was before the 2009 viral video. Like he was riding with, and we met Danny there. Well, say we met him. We rode with him probably that same year, 2007 or 8. I met him in Portsmouth, and you're just like, cool. There's a cool rider. But what you're saying is like you influenced him. From what I've just heard, he'd never met his own agent, and you're like, hey, Danny, meet this guy, meet this person.
It was kind of an interest. I don't know if I'd go as far as say as I influenced, but I met Danny.
So maybe interesting choice of words. You
helped him along the way.
Introduced.
Yeah. Okay. We had met. I was running a contest series, like a free ride contest series with the guy who turned out to be his agent. I suggested, hey, we should add Danny to this next event. And we invited Danny to be it. And then I think he broke his wrist or something. So he ended up not doing it. So it wasn't like they instantly met and became like whatever. It was further down the road that they kind of.
But they know that was the first interaction. And at that point, interesting to see, I'm sure that he didn't know that. But it's amazing in hindsight I love those kind of stories being like, wow, little did I know I'd suddenly be sharing my life with this man, years down the line.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nothing
it's been
much
crazy.
Has changed. Yeah. He's still top of his game, top of the scene.
Yeah, he's still the best, one of the best for street, 100%. I mean, Fabio as well. Fabio too. He's still fantastic. But them two guys are just on again. They're on a different scale. Them two guys just completely different scale. Yeah,
I mean, you've met quite a few of the riders. Who's your favorite UK rider?
Oh, Martin Ashton. I'm unapologetically fanboy all day. Yeah. I don't think we've ever met, but I feel like it'd be like a moment to actually get a chance to meet him. I mean,
I'm very fortunate too of myself, but he was the one that actually influenced me and introduced me to trials, and that's why I started. So great answer. And maybe we'll call that out and be like, hey Martin, you were called out on the podcast, you want to listen again?
Listen to this one. You might find this one interesting
until we get Chris Agwick on, when he can start slagging him off, because that's where I'd like the bit of the banter from the boys.
That would be amazing. That would be great.
There was one thing I'd recently seen on your Instagram about so like you mentioned it was Ninja Warrior on a bike. Now, I want a little bit of context and background on that, because that is something that I've not seen before.
Well, we've imagined it. We've thought about this.
We've thought about it, but I've seen the video and we were like,
God, someone's already done it.
It's already done it, but I didn't know it's already been done. Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
I mean, this is really the dream. Yeah. And I think, like, just how I was saying, like, everybody's got to raise their hand to do something. I think this is my background from what I've done so far with video production, with all this stuff I did, RedBull event production and athlete stuff, to what I'm doing now. It makes sense. This is the thing I want to raise my hand for. We're all kind of here working together to try to do everything we can for the sport. But to give you a little backstory, Super Rider was the name of a segment on the show called The Incredible Banzuki. And it was a Japanese game show like Wipeout or whatever.
I know I know the show.
Yes, that's it.
So they only had, I think, maybe 4 or 5 segments that they did this, but they would bring in the world's best riders. So like Cesar, Otp, Hans Ray, a ton of riders came into this set in Japan, and they were all thematic courses. So there was one that was like a train set. There was one that was like a radioactive, whatever. And the sections it was one section. It was super hard, but it was very clear where you had to go, and you had to try to make it through the section. And hardly anyone ever did. It was that difficult. There was one that ended with it was like a pole, but it was, 20 feet in the air, and you had to ride this like crazy balance line, and everybody fell off.
And find how we can watch this back.
I'm going to look for some of this.
So the segment was called Super Rider, and then it actually came to the UK. There was a show called Under Pressure, and they physically brought the courses over to the UK and had a show. So both the Martins wrote it. I think Chris wrote it. There was a ton of riders in this. Actually, Chris Ratcliffe gave me the UK footage of it, because I think there were 5 episodes, but on the same course. So it's been kind of brought around, and then it just disappeared. And it was always the dream, like, oh, I would love to get invited to ride on Super Rider as I was, ascending the ranks as rider.
Gotcha.
So basically, once I started kind of putting all my stuff together, I was like, okay, I need a big goal. Like, I want to lay the foundation to try to give everybody an entry point into the sport of trials. Like, I like that. I want to learn how to do that. Cool. Let's make this trials encyclopedia. So that was job number 1 with the Super Rider channel, was just explaining how to do all this stuff. And then the next thing is, let's bring Super Rider back to life. Let's put on the event and have episodes and tell all the stories and update the show to 2022 or whatever, and continue to add on to it. And as that show is successful, people are also going to get served up the how-to content. So you can get people excited about the show and what riders are doing at the highest level, but you can also be on that channel learning how to do it yourself. And so thinking about how to just connect all the dots to getting people excited, but then also learning it themselves and picking up the skill here and there.
Oh yeah, so that's something for everyone. The classic term, something for everybody. The elite riders can go and watch and find out, oh, maybe I could give that a go. But someone else just wants to know, how am I going to even ride along that thin beam or whatnot? So, it's not something that happens very often. We're just kind of like passive to those types of things. Ninja Warrior is a very, very good example. Andre gets to test the courses. This is actually what he's doing right now today, and that's a legitimate job in doing all that. And so I see the bigger picture now. You're like, okay, this Super Rider, it's like, let's bring it back from what was late 90s, did you say? Or something like that. Yeah. So we're talking like more than 20 odd years ago, or 30 years ago, more, whatever. What an incredible kind of, how do you see it getting back to that point? So it's just like purely its own show, or like something that can be global?
There's a lot of different ways to approach it, for sure.
This was an open-ended question.
Very open question. Yeah.
I love the idea.
I think a lot about Street League for skateboarding and how they do the same thing where they bring in a handful of riders, they have a bunch of competitions, and they tell the storyline of like what's happening with all the different riders throughout the season, and they're able to do more. Like, think about the maximum level. Like, what's the best thing we can do for trials? I'm trying to do that, and I want to include as many people as I possibly can to like bring the whole community along with us for the ride and help grow our community through this way. Like, there's a need for every single thing along the way, and this is like the thing that I want to see happen.
I mean,
I think
you got the vision. It's a long vision, but it's going to be worth it in the end when you do it.
Well, you're putting a story and a backstory to the contestants, just like Ninja Warrior. Anywhere like USA or any country, there's a backstory. It tells about their family, and then like you go, we'll see out in next week's episode when this happens, and then the audience should hopefully invest in the rider. And be like, this is my favorite person. This is I like this, and like maybe the Olympics is the wrong way for it. It's like maybe that's too serious, and they want, whether it be comedy, what's the word, like narration, on the top of it, and all that kind of stuff.
There's so much you can do with it, and thinking about what I was saying earlier about trying to help other people start their careers and become pros and stuff like that. My goal is not to be pro. Like, I will never be as good as Ali or Jack or Charlie Rolls or anybody like that. Yeah. But if I can make something for the next Ali, the next Charlie, the next Jack, whatever, that would be meaningful to me, and I hope meaningful to the community. So that's where I'm putting my real effort in, and my expertise in the back. Like, I've put on giant events for Red Bull. I've put on big video productions. Like, we've done all this stuff. And so it's just a matter of piecing it together in the right order and actually putting it out into the world. So that's like the motivation behind all this stuff that we're doing.
And just doing it. I know that sounds so cliche, but like, trials is tough. And I think some people go, oh, it needs this, it needs that. Oh, it won't work. It won't do this. And it was the same thing with like when I started the podcast thing. The only way it started, because I was like, all right, let's press record. Let's see what happens. And I'm really hopeful for the future too, because I love what I'm hearing, basically, Aaron. And this kind of level is like it's the only discipline that is now not in the Olympics of cycling. Like
exactly.
No, well, unicycling is trials.
Unicycling is trials. Yeah.
Anyway, we won't get through the technicalities. But and I hope like the listeners are kind of for that too. Like, imagine having that one show that people around the world actually just get into to watch in the evening with their family. Like, and that's just telling me
sitting at home, like watching, say, Gogglebox, but it's now like, Ninja Warrior on a bike, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, think about skateboarding or any of these other things. Ninja Warrior, a lot of people watching can't actually do any of that stuff, but they're excited to watch it, and they're invested in the athletes, they're invested in the story, they're invested in the outcome of the competition and stuff like that. So there's so much that you can kind of pack in there and make the sport as accessible as possible. And hopefully that gets more people involved who are going to put on, regional competitions, who are going to pick up a new bike, who are going to get involved and listen to podcasts and watch tutorial videos. And, everybody's got to do their part. Everybody's got to jump in.
Trying to say, as long as we all do our little part and bit, there's like, hey, you want to hear about this? Go and listen to this podcast. You want to learn how to just back hop? Go and watch that tutorial. Because I never really thought, I haven't anyway. I know I may be different for listeners, but there's never been tutorial stuff for trials for me. I'm sure there is out there. Maybe I was a little bit too ignorant to that, but for you were the only one I've seen that was doing that at a level that we could understand and be like, oh wow, that's actually
Ryan Leach, did he not do tutorials?
He did wheelie coaching, and I might be wrong, but
I'm not sure.
I'm talking about now. Ryan Leach is more of the old school style, whereas you've taken on the whole inspired discipline a little bit to kind of show that's what people want to do.
And that's actually one of the most popular videos is 20 versus 24 versus 26, where I try to ride all the bikes and explain why you would want to have a 20-inch bike, why you'd want to have a 26-inch, and just kind of lay it all out, because I think that's a lot of people getting into the sport are trying to do that, figure out what bike should I ride.
What are the pros and cons of each? Yeah. We've been trying to figure that out for years.
I've been doing it for 15 years. I'm still jumping to 24 and 20.
Yeah, still can't work it out. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that and the first 5 series that I have is like, here are the first 5 trials moves you should learn. Here are the next 5, and here are the next 5. Because it's like primary colors, right? You got this one plus this one, then you can do this move. You learn these 2 moves, you can do this move. And so trying to like just make all of this accessible and make it make sense so that you can learn this, then learn that, and voila, you're a trials rider, you know?
Yeah, and it's a centralized place that I now would do. Be like, you don't know how you want to look online? Go on Super Rider TV. There's your starting point for trials.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a terrible teacher. No, but go on Super Rider TV.
Or go on the Twitch. You've now got
I forgot. I've got that in the notes here actually. I think as we're keeping it short and sweet because sometimes I will ramble on. I'm really happy with what we've covered, but I think you're the first Twitch trials rider right now.
I think so.
We were searching yesterday.
We couldn't find anything.
Nothing. Couldn't find that, and I'm like, I've never thought about that. You know, just how has that gone for you so far? What's the kind of approach with Twitch?
So I think I wanted to just have something that I could just go deeper when it came to the tutorials. Like if you really had a question, come here and ask it in real time, and I'll just show you exactly what I mean. Because you could cover a lot in like an 8 to 10 minute tutorial video, but there's always nuance. There's so much nuance in what we do. And I just wanted to provide something else. And I didn't want to go necessarily a Patreon route because I just felt like all I would do there is give people my videos earlier, and I'm working hard enough to get them out as frequently as I am. So what's another way?
That's why we decided that was a terrible idea, because then you're like, oh damn it, people are paying for this. Damn, I need to give it to them.
Sometimes it's like shot at the buzzer, you know, right before. So Twitch was just a way to have a higher level of interaction with riders who are trying to learn trials, and the other side of it is that it's a live chat, so they can ask a question right there while I'm explaining something, or maybe I'm filming a video that's going to go out the next week, and they're like, hey, I know you're talking about this, but could you go a little bit deeper into this one area, because we're listening to you talk about it, but we actually, as beginner riders, want to know this. And so the crew that shows up on Twitch every week has really been helpful in terms of shaping the content, not just, you know, tuning in to watch, but actually being sort of an active participant in the way that I put my stuff together, because they're the people that I'm making the content for, and they can ask questions to essentially enhance what I'm making.
That feels more intimate.
Yeah, definitely more intimate.
Do you know what I mean?
They're kind of choosing what you're doing, so you can kind of like make it more specific to them. You know, and
we know what it's like when we do virtual events, or I do them at work and so on. And when people talk, and then the physical person's like, "Oh, hey, Clive, yeah, nice question. Hey, I've got this," and I don't know, I said Clive, but it's hey, nice question, and then it's kind of that approach to me is definitely new. I think that's super important. It's almost it's given me some sort of idea to be like, should we just do Twitch street rides? Like, do you know what I mean? If we were just filming our street ride,
it's constant,
and they're like, "Hey guys, tell us what trick to do." You know,
do like monkeys, like dancing.
I mean, think about it for maybe even the podcast. Like, imagine being able to source a question in real time. Like, hey, everybody wants to ask this rider this question, and being able to, you know, do it right there.
That's a good idea.
We need to talk more, and I like how your brain works.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do as much as I possibly can with the time and resources I've got. I've been doing TikTok as well, and that one's more about educating people on who the riders are and kind of the backstory behind all that stuff. And really interesting to see the response on there too. A lot of people are posting riding content on there, but I'm trying to give context to the riding content. Say like, here's this rider, but this is why this is important. This is why this is good. And trying to like enhance.
I will say it now, Aaron, you're doing a flipping fantastic job.
Honestly,
you really are. I don't know how often you'll get told that. I know it can be tedious. I know as a creator what can go through your minds. So just keep doing what you're doing, mate. And I think it's
Yeah. I've got a lot more. I've got a lot of respect for you now after everything that's been said today. You know, like that's really, really like
more so the
sparked a
history.
fire.
You know, I was really positive, being like, yeah, there's more trials in in the US. This guy's sort of pushing the sport, and then realizing, wait, you've been doing that for longer than we've been alive. And like you said, I'm in the background.
Yeah, we didn't even realize it was happening.
It's like there's someone behind the curtain turning the lights on to everyone else in the show. And I think it's nice to finally, get to hear your voice to it too. And I think we'll do a Super Rider 2.0 podcast. We definitely need more than one because we're sort of shortening them up a bit now. What's a message that you yourself would like to perhaps give to sort of every rider or the listeners? And anything could be advice, could be and it could be something you love. Anything.
I would say work together. We've heard all the other things about, try hard and keep practicing. Practice makes progress, all that. But we need to work together. This is amazing that we can sit and have this conversation and think about how we might collaborate, helping you guys get your Twitch stream off the ground and talking about some of the things like our Discord channel and all these different things and kind of sharing what we've learned so far. But we got to keep working together and keep connecting the dots and stuff like that. I think that's the most important thing we could possibly do to make this community come together on like a global scale. You guys have done such an amazing job in the UK, and I think there's a lot of people in random countries, USA included, that just want to feel part of that community. And the more things we can do to pull everybody together and work together, the more successful we're all going to be.
I like that a lot.
Collaboration.
Yeah, we need to have more conversations. We need to chat.
That's good.
We need to
Where can we find all of your socials? We've got about a minute left. Where can we find all of your socials? How can people get involved?
YouTube is Super Rider TV. Twitch is Super Rider TV. TikTok, same thing. And then the website, superrider.tv. That's best place to find it.
Nice. They can just Google Super Rider TV, and just so you know, all of the merch and everything that Aaron's doing is going back into bringing back this incredible Super Rider show that I'm hoping, I didn't even really know that existed. There'll be other listeners who will be like, wait a minute, we could do that. Yeah, Sean's listening we could do our own version. So Aaron, thank you so much for coming to chat to us right now. We'll definitely be getting some more from you. We've been the Shindig Podcast.
We have been. I've been Aaron Good.
And thank you, Aaron, for joining us today. As he said, make sure you search for Super Rider TV and go and subscribe to his YouTube. Lots of good things coming out. Serious fast growth, and it will be something that shouldn't be missed. So,
yeah. Thank you very much,
guys.
Aaron.
Thank you
so much again. Hopefully we will ride together very soon.
Yes, please. That'd be amazing.
If not Bentonville, we didn't quite make this year. I was quite I let some riders down because I did say I would be there, but we will try. We'll try again for next year. I know Kenny was very keen to get us there as well. So
it's gonna happen. It's gonna be amazing.
Perfect.
All right, take care, Aaron.
Cheers, mate.